We are the people, 老百姓。We gonna bury you, CCP。
觀眾朋友，大家好，歡迎收睇每日滅共新聞。我哋係消滅邪惡中國共產黨嘅新中國人。今日2025年2月5號星期三，而家係美東時間晚上11點。我係 Karen。近日，班農喺 War Room 節目裏面特別分析話，川普總統目前對中共採取全面反制措施。從西半球、北美半球到中美洲，包括拉丁美洲，而家巴拿馬已經宣布退出中共嘅一帶一路。川普知道時間緊迫，一切行動勢在必行，冇人能擋。請睇視頻。
Marco Rubio's in Panama. Marco Rubio goes to Panama, has, I don't know, a 30-minute meeting, and the Panamanian president says, okay, we're out of One Belt, One Road. Remember One Belt, One Road? This is the Chinese networking system of using predatory capitalism like the British East India Company to basically encircle the Eurasian landmass, also to encircle the United States in the Western Hemisphere. President Trump's strategy, his initial strategy, is a hemispheric defense of not just North America, but Central America and Latin America. Think of what Trump is doing. In the Western Hemisphere, this is hemispheric. Trump wants to consolidate, drive the CCP out of here, which have been allowed to fester. Look at the APEC meeting back in Chile earlier. They were all over it. Drive the CCP with Bolsonaro and with Milei out of Latin America, drive them out of Central America with ourselves, drive them out of Canada because they're all in Canada. Participate in the new great game of the 21st century, just like Afghanistan, Pakistan, between the Russian and British Empire in the 19th century about India. This is the Arctic, whether you like it or not. Hey, we don't make all the rules of the game. The Russians and the Chinese are all over there. Number one, the Chinese and the Russians with the ballistic missiles up there think they can get a clear shot of the United States. Don't think they won't take that shot. Chinese Communist Party, Russia, I don't know. Chinese Communist Party, like Mao said, hey, you lose a couple 100 million Chinese, big deal. They'll replicate. That's how callous they are. Canada's greatest protection, the Arctic and their northern border, is now their soft underbelly. President Trump from Greenland to Panama, and Panama folded. They're all folding like cheap suits. Nobody's going to be able to withstand Trump. Right now, he's gone full savage. Because he's not going to play around, right? He's getting a little older. He understands the clock's ticking.
近日，美國福克斯新聞採訪節目裏面揭露咗中共國幾十年嚟攝取美國嘅知識產權，造成美國企業每年數千億美元嘅損失。 而川普總統已對此採取新嘅貿易條款，嚟防止中國共產黨嘅唔公平行為。請睇視頻報導。
I want to get your take on why it is that we're constantly on defense when it comes to China. Why don't we go on offense and stop the intellectual property theft right now? I mean, China has been stealing intellectual property from America for decades. It's costing American businesses hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars every year. Why can't we stop it?
Well, look, that's what President Trump wants to do. I was at the Treasury Department and the White House when he was negotiating this trade deal with China, and that was, of course, a central piece of it. They have to treat American companies fairly. You cannot be requiring any market entrant into your country to just hand over all your IP and sign a JV agreement with the Chinese Communist Party. Excuse me. So these will be terms of any future trade agreement. I think President Trump is laser focused on that. I know he was for his first 4 years. I expect him to be for the next 4 years. Unfortunately,
江文貴先生喺2022年11月25號就直播爆料話，中共喺中東、南美、古巴等地區包圍美國，佈置大量導彈，並且政治滲透，唔單止令美國處喺巨大危險當中，日本最終亦會成為中共嘅囊中之物。中共早已策劃要令全球陷入混亂。請睇視頻。
Next, when the CCP invades Taiwan, it will be in the form of a blitzkrieg, meaning they will not allow America to get involved in the war. But once America is involved, the CCP is already prepared for a fight to the death. This is why the CCP has deployed a massive number of missiles in the Middle East, South America, in the backyard of America, even in Cuba and Venezuela. Recently, the CCP has mostly been trying everything they could to infiltrate, both politically and militarily, in the Middle East, the Balkans, and around America. Then they will deploy so-called cruise missiles that can target U.S. submarines, as well as establishing missile factories in the Middle East. It really has the intention to start a war, and it is prepared to fight to the death. Therefore, I think that the CCP has become mad to a point where the Lao Baixing, or even I, cannot comprehend. The CCP even has a fantasy. That is, when the vaccine disaster arrives in the West, there will be a more than 50% chance that their economy, traffic, and public service will all come to a halt. Then the CCP will seize the opportunity to take down US dollar, take over Taiwan, completely control Asia, and destroy Japan. They have said, once Japan makes a move, we will drive them into the ocean and completely destroy their country. This is something the CCP is 100% capable of. Before, when I was in China,
美國司法部1月31號逮捕咗一名前美國聯邦儲備委員會嘅高級顧問，罪名係串謀竊取美聯儲嘅商業秘密，為中共謀取利益。而早喺2022年7月27號，江文貴先生就爆料，世界貨幣組織、世界銀行、世貿組織全部被藍金黃，都係親共組織。而聯合國、美國財政部、美聯儲、美國國會及議會等都被滲透、收買或壟斷。請睇視頻。
美國不可能拒絕這個數字貨幣，但美國看到數字人民幣被中國共產黨完全壟斷，不允許去中心化的幣在中共運行，而且想全世界很多國家跟自己一起來玩一個絕對中心化的貨幣，那叫數字人民幣。美國這次美聯儲啊，那動了大動靜的裡面，它所有的政策，包括世界貨幣組織 WMF， 裡邊有多少中國人？你看看哪個人不是親共的？世界銀行有哪個人不親共？哪個人不被共產黨藍金黃的？包括世貿組織、聯合國就別提了，聯合國是典型的是完全被共產黨拿下，完全喪心病狂的一個組織，這個沒有一次站在正義的一邊的啊，完全都是站在流氓一邊。真正的假民主比沒民主還可怕。所謂聯合國的選票制、投票制，所謂的國際民主政治啊，完全是扯淡的。你看到我們8964以後怎麼對待我們的？聯合國放什麼屁了？這就是所有這東西已經被共產黨壟斷了。美聯儲已經被滲透，你知道七哥2016年、17年在華盛頓，我告訴他們，我說你們對面這些樓啊，美國財政部、美聯儲、國防部，大家記住啊，就是最近提出美聯儲這件事的，包括美國軍方關於討論要不要打台灣的，這些人都到我家來吃過飯。2016年、2015年、2017年到我家吃過飯，就是當面我問他關於中國這個當年殺掉這所謂36個人，實際是60多個人，還有這個同保國被槍斃的事情，他臉是詫異的。他你怎麼知道這個數字呢？我說你們全部都被共產黨給騙了。 或者是被他收买了。其中美联储的这很多人，我跟他们见面，我说你们被渗透了。2014年年底，我刚到英国的时候，和美国国务院的白宫的人啊，负责国家安全、负责中国事务的，我在那个伦敦跟他见面。我说，如果你们不认为共产党未来是你的所有全面的威胁的话，我说你们去看一看美国财政部、美国美联储、美国国会、美国议会，好好查查啊，有多少人跟共产党来合作？其中就美联储一个白宫的亚洲中国通战略顾问，当时的高官，他说他有什么得到的？我说你的金融战略所有的政策他们都要拿，而且我说中国已经做好了数字货币跟美国要对抗，他要领导全世界，包括量子技术和这个货币的整个的全面。那时候覺得我神經病啊！結果
英國王子安德魯近日被捲入同涉嫌中共間諜楊騰波嘅關係。楊騰波曾被任命為安德魯皇家企業家計劃中國分部嘅負責人。該名涉嫌間諜並未向安德魯同其他皇室成員透露其同中共政府統戰部嘅關聯。英國方面認為其之間嘅利益關係對英國國家安全構成威脅。請睇報導。
Prince Andrew allegedly asked China for $3 billion and had secret meetings about using his royal status for money. It comes after the Duke of York's relationship with alleged Chinese spy Yang Tembo, who helped broker deals, was ruled a threat to national security. The royal was spotted yesterday breaking cover as he drove from his royal lodge home. Andrew cultivated Chinese officials, including seeking advice from a communist minister and having covert meetings with the country's ambassador, according to documents released on Friday, reports The Times. It has further raised concerns that Andrew, 64, was willing to use his royal status for his own private benefit, regardless of the risk of compromising Britain's security interests. Documents retrieved from Yang's phone showed the Duke wanted to speak to a senior Chinese minister while planning to launch an international think tank. The plans were leaked to Chang Chang-kuo, a minister of China's State Council Information Office, in 2019. Andrew also hoped to leverage the firm's reputation to raise $3 billion of international financing for a pot to break unproductive technology and talent blockades against China, the papers revealed. Alistair McKee, Secretary-General of the British East Asia Council, told Chang-kuo that Andrew wanted to organise a conference for world leaders in China. I know that HRH, the Duke of York, will value your private thinking. In turn, that will help him formulate his plans and so enable a consensus to be reached, he wrote. When I'm in London, I can privately and informally get the view of HRH, the Duke of York. It is suggested this is among materials that led a Home Office security assessment to conclude Andrew's relationship with Yang represented a threat to UK national security. The review said the suspected spy failed to disclose to Andrew and other royals his ties to the Chinese government's United Front Work Department. Andrew had hoped to raise $3 billion of international financing for his Eurasia Fund, with Chinese investors expected to contribute $2 billion. He had completed talks with the leaders of Abu Dhabi and Bahrain, who were planning to contribute $500 million each, it claimed. Yang was appointed by the Duke to head up the Chinese arm of his Pitch at Palace entrepreneurs scheme. Details of his number plates were also noted by security at Andrew's Royal Lodge, meaning he could forego normal checks. 班農先生喺近期嘅班農戰鬥室節目裏面，邀請新中國聯邦嘅 Roy 討論 CCP 中國共產黨嘅最新動態。Roy 從中共嘅貨幣戰、信息戰、軍事擴張等方面，以及習近平嘅健康狀況等嚟分析中共對美國發起嘅多維度超限戰。請睇詳細內容。
Pivot, I got Roy from the New Federal State of China. Roy, thank you so much for joining us. We had an article in the Financial Times a week ago that I want you to come on about the CCP. The Chinese Communist Party is building one of the biggest, if not the biggest, military headquarters right there, accessible to the political elites in Beijing. At the same time that President Trump's putting a 10% tariff on them, and Xi is not happy. The war toxins are sounding of potentially Taiwan. Where is the CCP right now? Where's the Chinese Communist Party in relation to the United States, where you got Rubio's a hawk, He's down in Panama saying one belt, one road's over. The Panamanian president comes out and says one belt, one road's over. America's going to basically run the Panama Canal, so we're going to cut the Chinese Navy off. They're building a massive, like 5X Pentagon. At the same time, President Trump slapped him with 10% tariffs and told Mexico and Canada, we're going to break your economies if you don't stop the chemical warfare assault of fentanyl killing 100,000 Americans a year. Rory, what do you got for me?
Yeah, thank you, Steve, for having me. I think all of those topics are interconnected. This is unrestricted warfare and from multiple dimensions. And the CCP has been waging wars against the United States for a long time, and there were three major areas. One is currency. We saw what the CCP been doing with the BRICS and to destroy the U.S. Dollar supremacy and to form those alliance. And also the second is information war. We saw what happened with the DeepSeek, with TikTok. We're going to talk later about. And then the last is military ramp up. And now we saw what happening is the CCP is having this total war readiness against the United States. And remember, Miles Guo has been talking about this for years. In 2019, he blew the whistle on what's happening in the Western Beijing, in Phoenix Mountain, around like Xishan Mountain, all these areas in Western Beijing. There were bunkers, there were underground railways, there were foods and ammunitions and command centers. And remember, those are not just command centers from the Ministry of the National Defense. Those are nuclear command center and control centers. Those are 100 feet deep. There are like tens of thousands of people, at least we know, like hundreds of thousands actually, soldiers monitoring the devices, American civilians. And as we speak, they're still doing that. And I think this is a sign that the CCP has been preparing, and that they're already ready to wage war against the United States. And we saw Xi's health is declining. Our intelligence tells us she's just had a major surgery. And we know the story, like he had a problem with his liver and with his neck and spine. Like he used to be hit by a tractor when he was young. And that's why he's always tilting his head. And I think those are all the signs. And she knows his time is up, almost up. So that's why I think he's more motivated right now to have those military ramp-ups to attack Taiwan.
麥卡洛博士近日喺採訪入面再次提及疫苗問責。佢認為應該由特別檢察官對福奇進行調查，並質疑拜登政府赦免嘅有效性。福奇涉嫌欺詐、故意誤導國家，試圖掩蓋武漢病毒研究所同佢喺製造 COVID 病毒當中嘅角色。其大規模推廣疫苗，即係大規模過失殺人。請睇視頻。
When you talk about accountability, we have to bring in Joe Biden and his presidential pardon that he has already given to one Anthony Fauci. I would love to dive into this with you because, one, the timing of everything, of the pardon, was interesting and of note. But what do you think could still happen in the health world that could still go through and have this reckoning for COVID-19?
Keep in mind, it was a preemptive pardon. Preemptive. Meaning that, a crime hasn't, been uncovered yet, but there is an intent from the Biden administration to provide this blanket coverage, essentially like what we consider a tail coverage. And it goes back 10 years. And 10 years is almost to the exact time when Obama put into place the ban of gain-of-function research. And I think this is going to be the big issue. 2 papers, Menachery, first author, Ralph Baric, senior author, where they describe the creation of primordial SARS-CoV-2. This is in the peer-reviewed literature, Nature Medicine, Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. They say in these papers, they disclose it's gain-of-function research. It was started before the ban, and they believe grandfathered in. It was supported by Fauci and his branch, NIAID at NIH. And they thank Peter Daszak at the EcoHealth Alliance, now the debarred from HHS researcher, who shuttled the plans from UNC Chapel Hill to Wuhan, China. Now, even this week, the CIA agrees that the virus was engineered in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
So do you know, because this is something we have people researching now. I have, as editor-in-chief at Blaze, we've done interviews with a number of people. I mean, obviously, you've been on this network a bunch. Richard Ebright did an interview with our managing editor a while back. There's going to be a show called The Cover-Up. Will be coming out within the week. That's going to dive into this. But I'm wondering, the pardon is there. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt for a minute. The pardon is there, I guess they would say, because he might be unjustly prosecuted for crimes. This is the best case I could think of, for crimes that were committed during this 10-year period. So do we know what the punishments would be? I mean, what specific laws they're protecting him from? It's a tough question, but it would appear that it has something to do with illegal research. Is that right?
I think it's more broad than that.
Okay.
And recall that most of these Biden pardons were overtly stated that Trump was going to retaliate against people who sought to do Trump harm. Remember, Fauci and Trump never had discord.
Right.
To this day, Trump has not said anything about Fauci. Now, there are books written about what happened and what Fauci's role is in this great controversy. Peter Bregan was the first one, then The Real Anthony Fauci by Robert F. Kennedy. Rand Paul has a paper out, a book on this out now. So it's well delineated. I think the mechanism would be a special prosecutor to investigate Fauci as a target, meaning that, as someone who's a perpetrator for two major crimes: fraud, that he misled the country intentionally on the origins of SARS-CoV-2, attempted to cover up the Wuhan Institute of Virology and his role in the creation of SARS-CoV-2. And the next big one was mass negligent homicide. Now, that's a big one. But by the mechanisms that Fauci worked to suppress all our efforts on treating people early and preventing hospitalizations and deaths early in the pandemic, and then he relentlessly promoted only one solution: mass vaccination.
We are the people, 老百姓 We gonna bury you, CCP。
跟住落嚟係一組每日新聞簡報。Chief Nutt 揭露福奇領導嘅美國國家過敏及傳染病研究所 NIAID 同美國國際開發署 USAID 曾經向武漢嘅一名科學家胡斌提供咗超過4000萬美元嘅美國納稅人嘅資金，而此人正係從事蝙蝠冠狀病毒突變研究嘅科學家之一。離奇嘅係，此人後嚟竟然成為新冠病毒嘅0號病人。該研究喺2014年開始，安東尼福奇嘅赦免亦從該年開始。美國眾議員喬瑪麗泰勒格林轉發美國國際開發署資助武漢實驗室製造 COVID-19 相關主題貼文，並表示美國國際開發署、生態健康聯盟以及中央情報局都參與資助同製造咗武漢實驗室嘅 COVID-19， 導致數百萬人死亡。強制接種新冠疫苗亦導致數百萬人死亡同受傷。呢個係我哋有生以嚟政府權力濫用最嚴重嘅一次，佢哋令美國人民為此付出咗代價。如果屬實，呢個就係反人類罪。澳洲已經禁止所有政府系統同設備使用 DeepSeek AI 服務，成為今年首批對呢家人工智能初創公司採取直接行動嘅國家之一。該國情報機構嘅威脅評估發現，呢項技術構成咗不可接受嘅風險。川普警告話，如果佢嘅政府唔能夠同中共國達成協議，重新平衡貿易並打擊芬太尼販運，美國對中共國嘅關稅仲將上調。川普喺橢圓形辦公室同記者話，佢對中共國進口產品徵收嘅初始關稅將係開場白。加拿大喺川普關稅壓力下讓步，宣布暫停關稅30日，並追加13億美元邊境投資。杜魯多政府仲將販毒集團列為恐怖組織，設立芬太尼事務專員，承諾全天候邊境監控，並同美國聯合成立打擊有組織犯罪嘅特遣隊，同時啟動2億美元情報計劃應對芬太尼問題。 中共電商平台 Shein 因涉嫌違反歐盟嘅消費者保護法，將被歐盟展開調查。台灣海基會喺春節活動上透露，因川普對中共商品再加徵10%嘅關稅，目前關稅總額已達35%，未來仲會更高。目前至少有2家喺中共國嘅台灣上市電子公司，規劃將部分生產移出中共國。賴清德出席時鼓勵台商回台投資，強調會維持好投資環境，包含控制住利率，唔令企業投資資金成本增加。我哋重申，中國共產黨係全世界災難嘅根源，只有消滅中國共產黨，先至能夠拯救全人類。感謝大家收睇每日滅共新聞，我哋下次再會。
畢業於985的重慶大學，1年過去了，我還是沒有找到一份像樣的工作。
中國的社會的失業、崩盤、斷供，
社區給我打電話，讓我快點就業。
共產黨在死亡前沒那麼容易死亡，共產黨一定會很瘋狂。
能不能把好运来關了？能。幾千個家庭都在這兒等着你了。土地都跟我說不發工資了。33歲，我倆都失業了。
失業了。
南京29所公私立的幼兒園都關園了。
總人口數2年都在下降。
中國經濟什麼樣了？你不知道。
深圳很多實體和企業都在面臨着倒閉。
這2年大量的外資企業撤離中國。
中國有40家的小銀行消失，被大銀行合併或解散。
因為無法提款呢，遭到了擠兌，這意味着江西銀行呢基本上是爆雷了。
中直系現在爆雷了。
我跟你們說說，學校都給我們吃到了些什麼？
整盆肉都是臭的，這是喪盡天良的人肉。
學生們也抱怨吃的都是僵屍肉和預製菜。
這就是無底店學校啊，給孩子吃狗食桶裡的菜。
油罐車混運煤製油和食用油，並且之間呢沒有沖洗清潔，這樣的報道一出，引發了一片譁然。
所有的天災到了中國以後，都變成人禍。
洞庭湖呢，它叫團州鄉的這個怨堤啊，7月5號呢發生了決堤。
更讓人民憤怒的是，你堵不住堤防破口，政府就堵你的嘴。
我只能祈禱別下雨了。
湖南、河南海的善後，重慶又成重災區。
湖北丹江口汽車全滅頂，河南的周口、南陽等地達到特大暴雨等級。
哇！一台車瘋狂地撞上來呀！
在9月18日，一名10歲的日本男孩遭到一個男子的持刀襲擊。
我們的很多人就是長期在這種仇恨教育之下，導致這種惡果。
自我革命，
自我革命，
把黨的偉大自我革命進行到底。
自我革命就是文化大革命，走着看啊，這個事太大了。
2024年4月19日，信息支援部隊成立大會，在北京8·1大樓隆重舉行。
保守國家秘密法修訂通過，李尚福開除黨籍處分，
決定對苗華停職檢查。
獵狐2022專項行動加大反洗錢力度。
14部門近日發布了關於促進人體器官捐獻工作健康發展意見。
各位嘉賓、各位市民，
香港通過了23條的立法草案。
美國眾院外委會通過香港經濟貿易辦事處認證法案。
破產管理處公佈上個月提交個人破產呈請宗數係5個月以嚟最高。
2024-25財政年度嘅綜合赤字係1000億元左右。
西九龍法院呢，在今天對47人顛覆案作出判決，
廉潔奉公，竭誠為澳門特別行政區服務。
共產黨在死亡前沒那麼容易死亡，共產黨一定會很瘋狂。
感謝台灣人民共同寫下了民主的新頁。
So you think you can trust them?
前總統馬英九訪中行來到陝西，
重現世紀之握馬習2會10號下午4點在北京人民大會堂東大廳登場。
馬英九辦公室舉辦兩岸交流。
這是我第3次到中國大陸訪問。
柯文哲日前遭北檢第10度提訊，
有人可能透過台積電替中國科技大廠華為生產 AI 晶片。
雲艦9艘公務船現蹤周遭海空域。
中華民國與中華人民共和國
互不隸屬。
자유 헌정 질서를 지키기 위해
비상계엄을 선포합니다.
再来带您关心日本新任首相石破茂推动成立亚洲北约。
最高领导人金正恩在15号在会议上，他呼吁要修改宪法，要把南韩列为是头号敌对国。
这是一个金砖国家“一带一路”和邪恶轴心5国，是中国共产党安排的。
两国首脑共同签署了升级两国关系的全面战略伙伴关系条约。
有超过1万名朝鲜士兵在俄罗斯境内协助俄罗斯攻打乌克兰。
Першими боями з північно-корейськими солдатами。
伊朗总统莱西5月19号在伊朗西北部山区发生空难。
阿萨德铁腕统治宣告终结，叙利亚举国欢庆。
Our fight is your fight, and our victory will be your victory。
全天候中非命运共同体。
习近平将于10月22号至24号赴俄罗斯喀山出席金砖国家领导人第16次会晤。
整个是对抗西方、美国、欧洲，掐住欧洲的气和石油，干掉美国的美元，让美国物价经济混乱，配合3F 方案的一大块。
或骇客组织沿台风来窃取通话资料。
赵安吉死亡的消息由财新网在13日率先报道。
美国新泽西州最近被神秘无人机事件困扰。
Thousands of Navy SEALs and service members impacted by the COVID vaccine mandate scoring a major win this week in court following a years-long legal battle.
The AstraZeneca COVID vaccine is being withdrawn worldwide after the pharmaceutical giant admitted it causes a rare and dangerous side effect.
Today, Kansas is filing a civil suit against the Pfizer Corporation under the Kansas Consumer Protection Act.
This is a state suing Pfizer.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
Peter Navarro to 4 months behind bars for defying a congressional subpoena from
Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, the entire Justice Department. They're not going to shut up Trump. They're not going to shut up Navarro. They're not going to shut up Ben.
We will never back down, and we will never, ever, ever, ever surrender.
That Donald Trump will become the 47th President of the United States.
Take down the CCP. I gotta get Miles a song. Take down the CCP. Take down the CCP.
现在的武汉疫情就是一场战争，这场战争就是共产党打响了共产党的盗国贼和14亿中国人民的战争，然后用14亿人民在挑战美国的战争。
这个东西绝对是来自武汉实验室。
Wuhan, because Wuhan. I mean, the one lab that we're interested in here is Wuhan.
The CCP,
Chinese Communist Party, they believe they've gotten away with it, but inaction incentivizes the CCP to persist in secretive, aggressive, and dangerous behavior.
I'm not talking about the process.
I don't know.
Does it concern you that that U.S. taxpayer dollars would be going to someone who's a high-ranking Chinese PLA official? Yes or no?
So this is why CCP #1 take responsibility, give Chinese, give the America, give the West of the world, is the truth, transparency, information. Stop this rallies, go to all the global, kill all the American, all the another country people. This is the #1 reporting.
There can be, in our view, little doubt that China's government is primarily responsible for the COVID-19 pandemic.
That the Chinese Communist Party was conducting dangerous research, and this type of dangerous research was notionally supported by the NIH. I ask unanimous consent for a 2005 statement from the State Department that says China has a bioweapons program. Without objection, so ordered. I ask unanimous consent for a 2015 article by Dr. Ralph Barrick and Dr. Zhengli Shi of China, where they created a chimera of 2 bat-borne coronaviruses that gained function. Without objection, so ordered.
一系列的立法都在酝酿中，都会一个又一个的出来，是老天爷都挡不住的。
Some bills. Number 1, the Joint Task Force to Counter Illicit Synthetic Narcotics. Number 2, the CCP fentanyl sanctions. And then thirdly, the international protection from PRC fentanyl.
The Biosecure Act will help ensure the biological data of American patients.
The Science and Technology Agreement Enhanced Congressional Notification Act.
The Russian Federation has become reliant on the People's Republic of China
for a supply of semiconductors and other critical dual-use technologies.
The Countering CCP Drones Act.
Grown to be our greatest geopolitical threat.
That two CCP-aligned battery makers, Goshen and CATL, Cattle, are deeply connected to forced labor and the ongoing genocide in China.
On H.R. 55, 4, the Taiwan Conflict Deterrence Act.